Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So today I wanted to elaborate a little bit on my gaming history and going from pro gaming to now being a fitness professional, although that's not the word I would use, right, as a holistic consultant. But in any case, before you get like grand ideas of what it means to be a pro gamer back in the early 2000s, especially on PC, and also especially on which game you played. Like it wasn't as grand as it would be now or as it is now, right? That's 20-ish years ago. So in that time a lot has changed, right? So like pro league of games like Halo Combat Evolved, but I played Halo Custom Edition, and that's where I played Pro, which was hosted by Gearbox in their Gearbox League, which is now, right, so a good 20 years ago, which is like the more obscure part of pro gaming back in the day. Like there were a lot of different leagues, people were playing a lot of different games, and all these games had their own like modded versions in which people played at a high level. And then of course, like if you weren't playing on a normal game or like the normal version in a high league, then it wasn't really, you weren't really on the map anywhere, right? So like on the Xbox, of course, Halo was starting to become like the leading FPS where money could be made. But back then and on PC, it was a very small audience on the Halo Combat Evolved and Halo Custom Edition. So I started playing Halo Custom Edition when it came out in 2001, and it completely sucked me in. I mean, it was the best game ever. I still love Halo. So like my childhood was really rough, right? I had a very abusive father. We had a very bad relationship. And then he ended up abandoning me and my sister. So I had severe depression and I had really bad anxiety. I had PTSD from that relationship, right? Because uh, trauma is really just stress that's beyond our capability to handle or deal with or cope with, right? So gaming for me became my escape, and a welcome escape, right? Because that's exactly what I needed. And like of course, like I had the support of my mom, and I actually went to several therapies and therapists. I was just not in a place to deal with real life. I was too deeply wounded by my father and my brother leaving us, right, to have a normal childhood, if you will, right? So my father in that sense traumatized me, and he made me believe that it wasn't okay to be myself and be comfortable with who I was. And I just felt inadequate and unwanted, right? And that's what made me land into the realms that made me feel powerful and made me feel like I have control over my life and, the power to change things. So Halo really took me to a good place, or a better place anyway, because it imprinted me with like a strong male role model, which might sound silly, and you go like, okay, but it's just a game. But having grown up without that much contact with my father, and then of course all these things that I just mentioned, and my brother leaving us, right, then you're not really surrounded by strong male role models. And that was why it really just, I took to Master Chief, right, to John 117, because he's always doing the right thing and not complaining, and was just putting in the work, right? And then it's not like that just like became a thing as I was experiencing it, as I was playing it. It's something that was running in the background that I kept going back to quite often, and that I see now in hindsight about how that became like a strong role model, right? So it's not something that was inherently apparent as I was playing. It's just something that developed as the series developed and as I developed, and then putting thought and reflection and introspection on it. That's how I came to this conclusion. My next adventure and really honestly obsession was World of Warcraft. I started playing Vanilla WoW, right, which is the classic version, and now we have the classic, and the Burning Crusade classic will be coming out right after I release this video. So I started playing that on a private server with friends, which was amazing. And I remember that we all started playing in our autumn vacation when I was still living in Belgium. And then each autumn vacation, I went with my family to the south of France, which is nice, but at the same time, like with my personality and the way I needed my that escapism, like I just got sucked into World of Warcraft, and that entire vacation, which is only a week, but it felt like forever. I was thinking about playing World of Warcraft, and I just couldn't think about anything else. So when my friends stopped playing on the private server, I got a subscription and I started playing on a European server. So I got the full version, and then by the time I really got into it deeply, I was already quite far in high school, like the fourth grade in high school, and I or the third grade rather, and I had to go to a different high school, but I was very depressed and I was in a really bad place mentally, and this high school was really hard on me. It was very hostile, and I never really found my way there. So my escapism really grew beyond my control. Like I just couldn't deal with my daily life. It was very hard for me to do anything, like whether it was studying, whether it was doing my homework, going to bed. Like I kept pushing my bedtimes because I was so fed up with being in school, and we were in school from 10 past 8 until 4:30. And if I didn't get the tension, if I got the tension, I would be in school until 5:30. So then I just needed time for myself, or rather time away from daily life, or just my life in general. So like the WoW community, like it was really super inclusive, welcoming, warm. Like my guild, the Sea Dogs, they were a lifeline. I love them for all that they've done for me, because no matter how shitty my day was or how depressed I felt, right, they were there each afternoon at school. I know I could count on that, and I'm eternally grateful for their support and friendship during that time, right, because it really gave me something to look forward to at the end of my day, where I was like, okay, like, yeah, whatever happens today, I know I can come home and I can just play World of Warcraft and I'm gonna be feeling better. And it really kicked off for me when the Burning Crusade was released, because I was leading some of the raids like in Naxxramas, and like I've have only good memories of that, outside of some of the frustrations about wiping, before Kel'Thuzad or on Kel'Thuzad. But hey, you live and you learn. But it was really that kept me going, like being able to play World of Warcraft, which I know for some people might not be very understandable. But if you're deep down in that hole and you really like, you do have friends. It's not like I didn't have friends, but it didn't really make that much of a difference, as much as like the online community did. And you didn't have to talk about your day or whatever. They were just there, and you just focused on doing something you enjoyed and living in a world that was different than your own, right? Now at times I've looked back and really like wish that I started sooner with addressing my health and changing my nutrition and adding in movement. But if I really take the time to reflect, like I know why that didn't happen. Like it's pretty clear, and it's not just because I was depressed, but because I didn't have the access to information, nor the emotional and psychological capacity and bandwidth to do those things at that time. So at that given time, I got exactly what I needed, which was that escape and that support, which is, it's of course it's fine, and it was important, but at the same time, right, there's room for health in gaming, right? And that's kind of where I'm trying to take this. So if you looked at the stereotypical gamer in the 2000s, I was one of them. I was overweight. I had skin issues, right? I was depressed. I was socially anxious, and I was socially awkward as well. I liked all the foods that were the staple of that time, right? Doritos, Mountain Dew, anything chips and nuts and sodas that I could get my hands on. And I kept playing throughout high school pretty competitively. So I also played the Call of Duty for Gearbox League, which is, sort of semi-pro. But where I'm going with all of that is that even though you might be in a place right now where you feel like that it resonates what I'm telling you, or you've experienced these things or are experiencing, then I just want you to know that health and gaming aren't mutually exclusive, right? And if you look at the gaming scene now, it's very different. Like if we just take a page out of the book of the pros, right? They do a lot more work with nutrition now. They do a lot more work with movement and exercise, right? And on sleep, and even like now they're starting to include biohacks like the blue blocking glasses and stuff like that, so that their sleep would improve, right? Because everything is all about this, like, yeah, health and performance. Like, of course, if you're a pro gamer, then performance is important. But if you're a normal person, or you are someone like me now, I didn't play World of Warcraft very competitively. I just played it because I enjoyed it, right? I mean, health is still important, right? It's still a big piece of how you're gonna feel. So I just want to say and reiterate that, right? These things, like, it's not because you want to game all day. Like, you can if you want to, but it shouldn't get in the way of living a healthier life, right? Then you can start with small things. That's also why I made this channel, so everyone can get access to the information that I didn't have access to, and also give this idea of like why mental health is such a big thing for me and why I fight for it with people, whether it's people online or and my clients, right? I'm fronting that. I want to make people not just more aware, but make them understand how people get stuck into those things that I got stuck into and obsessed with, right? Like gaming and reading and movies and stuff like that, because of the way I felt. And I'm also, right, I want to elaborate on how health is mental health and how we can improve that. So if you're stuck in that loop, right, I hope that my experience and this channel are gonna be an asset to you that can help you, guide you through this. So for as far as the how goes, like how did I get into fitness and become a fitness professional, right? Because I worked as a personal trainer and now I'm a holistic consultant, right? Which is a mix of online training and in-person training. So online, to get the programs, everything from nutrition, movement, psychology, sleep, etc. And when the clients in Oslo, with which I can do boxing sessions, some movement sessions, we go swim in the fjord, right? So my life doesn't revolve around fitness, it just revolves around health, right? But what got me into fitness, right, was seeing some of the pictures of me overweight. And then it really kind of struck a chord because I asked my mom, like, okay, is it really that bad? And she was like, yeah, honey. I mean, she tried to not sugarcoat it, but she was diplomatic. And then it just kind of fell into place. So first it was the why, right? I saw those pictures and I was like, okay, something needs to change. And obviously, I was feeling worse and worse and worse, and that's not what you want to experience. So although gaming like has been a part of my entire life, and I kept gaming, I just don't play as much, and I definitely don't play pro, and I'm not having don't have any plans of playing pro, even with Halo Infinite coming out this fall, right? That's very tempting, but I'd rather not. So the main thing is that when I saw these pictures, right, that I was confronted with how far I've let it slide. And of course, like I said, like I wasn't in a space really until I got confronted with those images and my own decisions that made me feel even worse. So then I will actually outline this in an entire bigger video that is about my health journey. But I just want to elaborate and emphasize things a little bit, that I started with a pretty low threshold. That was, okay, I want to run stairs every day, which I did for 30 minutes. And then the other main thing that really made the biggest difference was cutting out the junk food, right? So if you only do those two things, which is 30 minutes of a movement that's relatively high pace, like it's running stairs for people that are overweight or have knee issues is obviously not the best thing for your joints, right? So it could be cycling. You can do that relatively intense, and even if it's not super intense, it's at least some movement. And cutting out the junk food, right? I mean, it sounds too simple and it sounds too obvious, but just doing those two things made me lose 16 kilos in 6 months, right? So just on a weight loss level, like it could go faster, but on the health level as well, like you can do many different things. But if we, it's my experience, right? And it's something that's a low threshold, increase some of your movement throughout the day, right? Which is something we should all be doing anyway. It's not the move more, eat less scenario, just move more in general because movement is good for you, and eat less junk, right? So cutting out the processed foods, because I was, like I said, eating a lot of the chips and the nuts and sodas and grilled cheese sandwiches and lots of mayonnaise. So all the processed foods, that's the thing that was really doing me in. And I started focusing on whole foods, and lo and behold, right? So my weight dropped, and from there on out, like that's the inception of my fitness journey, right? So then things just pick up from there on out. Like I've been training for a good 10-ish years now, right? So, and the first things that I did, I consider that training, right? The stairs running. Like I didn't get into calisthenics, which is, you know, body weight based movements, until way later in my journey, and then weights even later than that, right? So there's so much that I could have done that would be better, that would have gotten me faster results. So for anyone listening, right, like how do I get fit, or how do I do this? It's getting in, right? So some movement during the day, starting to strength train, right? Cutting out processed foods. If you can get 10,000 steps a day, it's a nice baseline. If you can do a weightlifting session on top of that with a personal trainer or someone that you know in your environment that does strength train, right? And you cut out your processed foods, you can still keep gaming and get healthier, right? So this is part of the journey. And then how I rolled into like more of the fitness is that I just started enjoying it so much and focusing on that. And then I decided to go for my personal trainer certificate, and then I built out my coaching, right? So I will detail all of that in a much longer video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope it was helpful, right? If you have any more questions, then just leave them in the comments and I will get to you guys. See you in the next video.